This is an issue that was brought to our attention. It came from a Facebook post from a Washington State University professor on a gardening website. And what is going on is there's unsolicited seed shipments that are going just to individuals in the community at this point. Sometimes they are tied to an actual order of seed, and sometimes they're tied to something completely unrelated. And as this picture shows here, this is curiosity about to kill the cat. And a lot of folks might be curious about what these seeds are and think, well, it's okay if I put them in my garden, I'll just see what comes up. And this can have some pretty disastrous effects on our environment and actually on farming in general. And I'll talk about why that is. We are working with the USDA and the MDA to track them down and to try and stop these shipments. And the important message here is if you do get these seed shipments, please don't spread the problem. Try and be part of this solution. So when we talk about the environment and what we think of as a natural ecosystem, we have a coevolution of our plants, and they're really mediated out. You know, the process of natural selection and predator-prey or parasitism. So we have things that are kind of metered out in our natural environment where we have a coevolution of insects and pathogens and other plants, competing plants and other herbivores that really keep plants in check in our environment and really create a stable ecosystem. What happens is if we bring something in that's from a foreign country or from another continent, it is not co-evolved along with those insects and pathogens and plants. And it actually reproduces very, very quickly. So the example that you see here is Japanese stiltgrass that is common now in our forest floors. And that basically outcompetes all of our other native fauna that normally would inhabit it. And I will tell you also, it is chigger heaven. So this is just one example of what can happen when we get a plant in. What we might not think of as well, though, is that we actually can have pathogens that come in with these shipments. So a number of our plant pathogens are actually seed-borne. And if you were to go out and plant this seed, you might actually be unwittingly promoting this pathogen or introducing this new plant pathogen. It could impact our crops, could impact our food supply, could impact all of our native plants. So we really, really need to be careful about what we're planting in our environment, particularly if it comes from an unknown source. We think that this is a potential brushing scam. And what that is that individuals will receive these unsolicited shipments from a seller who then posts false customer reviews to try and boost sales. Sometimes these are tied to seed sales from overseas, and sometimes they're just totally unrelated to something else that we might order. So this is an example of the way that these are coming in. This actually really hit home for me just this past Monday. I have a colleague that actually received these shipments, and she was actually trying to get these Lenten rose flower seeds. Didn't realize that they would be coming from China. So she actually reached back out to them when she received more than one seed shipment along with them. The other shipments, and actually these shipments too, were labeled as earrings or wire connectors or electrical components or anything else other than plants so that they could get through US Customs. And they are making it through in quite abundance. We don't know how long this has been occurring. So this is an example of what one of these shipments actually will look like. You can see there that it's labeled as a wire connector, and inside is a plastic bag with seeds in them, or sometimes not even an extra plastic bag. You can see that these seeds are very small and they can get out into our environment very quickly. So the question is what to do if you get them. The MDA, our Missouri Department of Agriculture, has released a press release just this last Monday, and we are starting to get quite a number of these cases reported to us through MU Extension. Not only here in this state, but also, obviously I said Washington State, but also Utah and Kansas and Minnesota. So this has become a nationwide problem, and actually an international problem too, as also Britain has released warning statements about these seeds. So if you get the seeds, do not plant the seeds. This is the curiosity killing the cat here. Please don't just see what happens when you put these out into the environment. That could have very disastrous consequences. Also, don't throw them away. One of your first inclinations is going to be, I'm going to throw it in the garbage. Well, that means it's going to get into the landfill. And at some point, that seed could get out as well as the pathogen that it might carry. So don't open the seed package if at all possible. Hopefully it will be in a plastic bag when you get it. You'll open it and go, oh, okay, this is it. This is what we need to try and seal off. Try to place the seeds in the package in a Ziploc plastic bag, and then go and submit an online report to the USDA. The easiest thing to do is just to Google help report agricultural smuggling. The department that we've been working with that I didn't even know existed is the Smuggling Interdiction and Trade Compliance Office, and they have been inundated with these at this point. You also want to contact your MDA. There's a phone number listed there. And also you can email them at aginfo@mda.mo.gov so they can track it. You also can contact us, your friendly neighborhood extension specialist, so your horticulture specialist or anyone else, and they can help direct you to this. After you go through and report this, you will receive instructions to send all of this to the USDA. Make sure that you include the original packaging. So the USDA is going through identifying the seeds and any potential pathogens that are in them. And the other aspect I should say about the plants too is that some of these can cause allergic reactions. So there are some plants that actually can have human impacts too and cause rashes on us. So they are actually going through and doing the hard labor of trying to figure out what these seeds are and if there's any pathogens in them. And then also please send them and keep that original packaging, because they are tracing it back to the source. So hopefully we can stop these at the border. The address of our state plant health director, Mike Brown, he's a fantastic guy to work with from our USDA APHIS. They are going to be the collection center, and this is the address that we will be sending everything into in our main repository for this huge problem that we're having.